Good morning, everyone. So it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a great fortune must be in want of a wife. Welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, and this is a show on the Iconic Production channel in association with Strange Old Games, where I just sit around and we talk about games. We talk about games we love. That is one of the things you will always find about this show is I will always start I will always review products that I love, companies that I love. I will just talk about things that I love and enjoy on this channel. And so today I get to bring you a review. Yes, Grom, having no prize for picking up on the Jane Austen quote right here at the beginning because I had the opportunity to read and review a new book that is coming out by Chaosium, a company that, if you are at all familiar with Iconic Production, you know that we love. Evan and I do the Exploring Glorantha podcast about one of their great worlds, Glorantha, obviously. But I'm also a huge fan of Call of Cthulhu, as you may be able to tell from the t-shirt and the way I talk about certain games on the show. Before we get into that, first of all, I'm going to say hello to Mark, to Grom, and to Padre. It is good to have all of you with us here this morning. So, why in the world would I start off the show with a Jane Austen quote? In fact, sort of the Jane Austen quote for me. It was my first experience with Jane Austen was Pride and Prejudice. Well, because Chaosium will be releasing in the near future the Regency Cthulhu supplement for Call of Cthulhu, a supplement on Regency era England and playing Call of Cthulhu in the Jane Austen oeuvre of fiction. Now, I would agree with Grom. It is probably her best known opening line by a wide margin. I have read a lot of Austen, but I think overall, Pride and Prejudice remains possibly her most popular. That's just my own personal opinion. So, I fell in love with Austen many years ago and have enjoyed her works and keep returning back to her. And I love Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu provides for me, it scratches that itch that the old GURPS 3rd edition books used to scratch for me. The idea that I could go and pick up a supplement that's historically accurate, and then I could very much enjoy both the history and the information for gaming. Hey, Professor, thank you. That is fantastic. Thank you for the subscribe. So yes, today we are talking about Regency Cthulhu. It is a supplement that's going to be coming out for Chaosium. You're going to play in all of the joyful and proper and well-mannered time of Regency England, the Georgian time, if you will. And this book is about 225 pages. It's going to have a lot of great art. If you know anything about Chaosium, you know that their production quality is outstanding. The books look great. They're well-researched. They're well-written. The art is fantastic, as you can see here from the cover. Now, what you'll get in this book is, let me get we're going to do this all, and we're going to have no issues today. That is our goal. So we'll see if the computer works with me pretty well. So you have a great overview of the Regency era of England, kind of explaining what that is, what the Georgian time is. And then it goes right into how to build an investigator specifically for playing in an Austinian Call of Cthulhu game. Now, I don't think anybody, maybe years ago, you may have wondered, well, why would you want to do this? How can horror and Jane Austen go together? But we saw Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. We read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I don't think it's that big of a stretch. Also, the fact that there is this veneer of civility, but all of the tension going on underneath provides a perfect sort of background to sort of the horror that would be going on at the time. So much like the Reign of Terror, it's a short supplement. If you have looked at the Reign of Terror, it's another great look at a specific time period, and actually, I would say follows a lot of the Reign of Terror supplements outline, if you will. You're going to have rules for making your investigator. They're going to introduce a small locale and then give you a couple of adventures set in this time period to kind of guide you through what it would be like playing in a cosmically horror-tinged Jane Austen novel, or a Jane Austen-tinged Call of Cthulhu adventure. Really, whichever flavor you prefer to push to the fore. Professor, I love your statement there. I think that is possibly the best way that I could explain my love of Cthulian tentacles as well. So some things I'm just going to point out. It's going to be a high-level review. Here on Behind the Screen, we're only talking for about 15, 20 minutes, so I'm not going to go in-depth to anything. But if you like Call of Cthulhu and Jane Austen, this is a great supplement. You could run this with the free quick start rules and have 2 adventures and probably 6 to 8 sessions of fun for a little encapsulated one-shot. If you want to dig into the era, you're going to have a lot of material that, if you know the Austen novels well, you should be able to use this and kind of expand on it even more. I would say that the majority of the book is weighted towards the adventures, which help give the sense of the place and the feel for what you're going for. I think personally I would have enjoyed a little bit more exploration on the Regency era, but that's just because I'm a history nerd. I think they struck a great balance for gamers. So some things that I'll point out: they've got expanded rules for dancing and etiquette, as you would, expect from a game set in Austen's England. They have the reputation rules are great. The dancing rules are wonderful. They've got a little bit of mesmerism in there. They find ways to add the horror in, mainly in the adventures. They also give you a town of Terraford, which you can set your adventures in. And both of the adventures that are in here are set there. And what's interesting about the adventures that were set here, and I think it's a well thought out and deeply rooted in sort of the time and the genre, is that there's the 2 adventures and they're set apart from each other, I believe by about a year, if I remember correctly, and looking at my notes. There's this sense of time and rhythm in an Austen novel, and in that time, right? The dances, the balls, all of these things were things that you looked forward to, and then in between, you had this kind of lull. So the first adventure is The Long Corridor. I think it is my favorite of the 2 adventures. It's a short one, just 2 sessions, and it's set around a ball. It has a very interesting moral dilemma for the investigators. Probably one of the best moral dilemmas that I have read recently in adventures. There is the clear and present solution, but if the investigators don't actually investigate, you have this issue of what are the long-term ramifications of doing the right thing in the moment without really understanding the implications. So I think it'll provide some moral quandaries, a little bit of a dilemma of what the players are to do. And then The Emptiness Within takes place about a year later and is a fully fleshed out adventure, multi-sessions. I really like the mystery. One of the problems with reviewing Call of Cthulhu supplements that I've always had is that this show is really for players and game masters. So trying to explain what's in the book on the GM side while not giving anything away to the players is always an interesting line to walk. There we go. And again, as I said, the art in this book is stunning. It always is. Call of Cthulhu 7th edition has never failed to impress me with how well the books are laid out and designed. So let's see here. The chat said, Rook said the latest Dimension 20 game definitely made Regency important. Was interesting to watch for you. That's I haven't watched any Dimension 20, Rook. but that's interesting. Padre said Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters is probably more Cthulhu-esque. I will be honest, I can't tell if that is a real, is that a real hybrid of Austen. I have only read two of the book plus horror. So I've read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and then I read Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which was a surprisingly well researched and well written documentary or biography of Abraham Lincoln, then with vampire stuff thrown into it. So I'm assuming Padre is not messing with me, that there is actually a Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters book. So, yes, this is my kind of high level, high overview of the Regency era source book for Call of Cthulhu. I love Call of Cthulhu. I love the personal dilemmas paired up with the cosmic horror. I've always really enjoyed more playing through the fallout, maybe not more, but definitely stressing the fallout of the investigators' lives and digging into this strangeness that surrounds Call of Cthulhu, as much as I've enjoyed throwing Shoggoths and Byakhee at them. And I think what's interesting is because we have this well-established genre and well-established world that Jane Austen has put together, this view of England and what's important and how people interact and all of the cultural layers and all of the societal layers and all of the personal goals, right? You go to balls for specific reasons. People are, as our quote said, looking for husbands and wives. It provides a wonderful and fertile ground for the players to engage in their personal lives and then dig deeper and tie all of these things back to the mythos. Is the ball really a ball? Or is it a cover for a cult meeting? That gentleman or lady that you are calling on, are they really interested in you, or have they targeted you for some nefarious or dark purpose or right? Those of you who attended last year's ball and suddenly there were murders and you realize everyone who is being murdered is on your dance card from that year. These are the things that kind of just rise almost easily to the surface of Regency era Cthulhu. So I love this book. I'm going to be picking it up as soon as it gets out. I know that Maddie, who is a friend of the show, she played Gemma on our Fading Suns stream, and I both love Austen. We have talked for hours about Austen, and she enjoys Cthulhu. So I'm hoping that I will get this to the table for her at some point, possibly even as a stream on the Iconic Production channel. The movie was not great, Padre, but yes, the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter book was just above and beyond what I had expected of it. And having grown up in Illinois, I would say of all of my American history, Lincoln history is probably the subgenre of that I know the best. And so it was a very fun read. So Rook is giving me more homework. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna do that, Rook. I appreciate it though. So that is my kind of quick overview of Regency Cthulhu. Again, if you like Austen, if you like Cthulhu, if you like alternate times to play Cthulhu in, this is a great supplement. It's going to be available on for purchase on Chaosium. I'll put links in the show notes if and when it goes up, or when it goes up on DriveThruRPG, and I'll put links to Chaosium where you can where you'll be able to pre-order it. Again, thank you to Chaosium for the review copy. Again, this was a review copy that I received. Did not influence my views of this at all. I was already a lover of Chaosium and Jane Austen. This was a natural fit for me. And I think one of the ways I want to use this book, and this ties into some of the other things we talk about on this show, is the idea that I love long generational games. And I've had this idea for a Call of Cthulhu campaign that has been percolating around in my brain for a very long time. and it would start in Rome and work its way forward in time, with players playing descendants and legacies of the cult they are trying to bring an eventual end to in modern times. And the fact that Regency Cthulhu now exists, that's great. I get to just add another set of adventures in another timeline, in a timeline that I love. And I'm hoping to get some interviews with the authors here on the show where we can talk about Regency Cthulhu. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know on the Iconic Production Discord channel. I will be back on Saturday with Richard and Josh, where we're going to talk about the grand campaign and lessons that we learned from our weekend of gaming. And next week we will do another review, but then we will start into our look at low or near science fiction. Oh, Bob, you missed a delightful review of Jane Austen Cthulhu, the Regency Cthulhu book that is coming out. I will send it over to you once the video goes live. And yes, I would agree with Grom, never outclassed. So, thank you to Chaosium for the review copy of this book. Thank you to the authors for putting together just an entirely delightful read. And thank you to the chat, as always, to everyone who supports the show, whether on Patreon or through subscriptions. As always, you guys are the reasons I get to keep doing this, and I greatly appreciate it. And I will be back next week with more. Hey, Bob, thank you, sir. I'll be back next week with even more behind-the-screen goodness for you. We'll do another review of a horror product. Hopefully, I'll have all of my camera issues worked out so that I can show it off when it comes in, and we'll start our look at near sci-fi. What is the genre? What are the exemplars? And what can we use to bring it to life at our tables? So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I am JM, and this has been another episode of Behind the Screen. Have a good one.